Hi, I've been a little bit MIA because I'm taking one of my kids to college, which is why I'm filming from a motel room with the world's thinnest walls and a lumpy mattress. Just so you know, if your kid is going to go to a D1 school and new student days overlap with a football weekend, this is going to show my complete ignorance of football, even though my husband played college football. Is it D10, Pac-12, the Big 10? Anyway, people here are real big football fans. Plus, everybody's trying to move their students, and so it's really difficult to get a motel room. I was lucky to get anything. The places I would normally stay if I was down here were all, 4 times the price and had been booked for months. So it is what it is. Anyway, I have a point to this video. So I got my daughter moved into her dorm room. Her roommates are amazing. I'm gonna see her again tomorrow morning because there's some more like family meeting things to go to, and then I'm gonna head home and she's gonna have her grand college adventure here. I don't know, before I sit down and read my book for a little bit, I wanna take a moment and talk about some thoughts I had today, because I don't know, if you think back to when you went to college, or if you're somebody who is the parent of a college student now, college to me in the United States presents such a picture of what our whole society could be. It's simultaneously frustrating and fascinating to me that we organize college life in a certain way and then that just stops after you graduate, that we don't extend that to the greater society like at all. Let me give you an example. So my daughter is part of the Indigenous Students Program here, and they had their orientation today. Just like a super welcoming event, right? A dinner and welcoming students, letting them know all of the academic supports that are available, the social opportunities, a chance for kids to build relationships with each other, cultural opportunities, entertainment, but also, academic tutoring, resources that are there for the kids to support them on their educational journey, as well as a health clinic, mental health services. There's a food pantry. There's help for signing up for things like SNAP if you need it. Peer counseling, mentoring, right? There's also RAs on the floor who are there to be support for you. There are staff members, I don't know what they call them here, but at Grinnell they call them RLCs, resident life coordinators, who are folks who have graduated from college. They still live in the dorms. They offer counseling, support, organization, mentoring, guidance. Just this emphasis on, hey, we want you to be successful. This is all about helping you get the education that you deserve and helping you feel supported in that endeavor. And also at the same time, building community, establishing relationships that you're going to use and enjoy right now, but also you're going to lean on those folks and they're going to be able to lean on you in the coming years, right? This emphasis on this journey is really important, and we want to make sure that you are supported and that you understand that you're not alone, that the education matters and the community matters at the same time. And of course, there's another layer to it, right? Because the meeting is being held in the Longhouse, which has expectations, treating other people with respect, leaving it cleaner than you found it, no exchanging money, no swearing, respect for each other, for the space, assuming positive intent, understanding that you're going to lead with kindness and gentleness, right? Honoring the elders there, coming into the space with good intention, interacting with good intention, being inclusive and being welcoming. And I don't know, I just think why can't we organize all of society this way? Every time I interface with, as the parent of 4 kids to a university and to a community college, right? Anytime I am in a college space, or I think back on my experience as a college student, it's like, why can't we organize society like this? Why can't we have something where people live in community, they have access to shared resources, like a shared laundry room, a shared kitchen, a hall closet with like a shared vacuum, so that, people don't have to all have individual sets of tools and supplies, especially when you don't need them all the time, right? You can have a shared resource. Things are walkable and accessible, right? Being able to live somewhere, walk to where you eat, walk to where you learn, walk to where you work. I know that, conservatives really freak out at the idea of these 15-minute cities, right? Where you create somewhere where you don't actually have to use a car to get around. You don't actually have to spend, 10, 12 hours a week in your car commuting to and from work. In the past, my husband taught for the Siletz Confederated Tribes. We lived across the street from the school. He just walked across the street to go to work. That was amazing. And that's maybe an entirely separate conversation or adjacent conversation about how when you have a pedestrian society, when you base your society on a human scale rather than a car scale, where people are engaging with each other face to face and on foot versus behind the wheel of a car, how that dramatically can change the kind of lives that we're living and the way that we relate to other people. But even more than that, right? Like, why is it that college students have an environment where all of these services are included in the experience? I just don't understand why we acknowledge that's such a good thing and it helps support our college students and helps them be able to achieve their goals. And then we just like cut it off after 4 years. It's like, yeah, that was really idyllic and lovely. And focusing on the well-being of the students and their quality of life and making sure that they get the education that they need, but also that they enjoy their lives while they're there. Let's make sure they are supported in all of the ways we understand human beings can and should be supported in order to be successful. The student health clinic, the free bus pass for students around town, organizing game nights and social activities and movie nights and having clubs that people can attend for their various interests, and tutoring, peer mentoring, like just think of all of the really good things. And then like a dining hall. People who watched my content in the before times know that I would love to build or live in an intentional community, and being able to have community meals, that is something that I'm like perennially yearning for. And I'm not even talking about the economics of it and how it's obviously more efficient. I mean the way that it can really nourish us in terms of building relationships and being able to have someplace you can go and you can get a good nourishing meal and have that just be a reliable thing that you can access. Why is it that we don't do this with all of our society? Why is it that we acknowledge that the priority in college is not like profit? I understand colleges and universities, especially really big universities, a lot of them operate like hedge funds, right? I understand a lot of them have very big endowments, and I went to a college that had a huge endowment. That's how I was able to go to Europe with the choir, and it didn't cost me anything. I was able to go to Belize and study songbird migration, and it didn't cost me anything because the endowment paid for all of that. But why can't we do that with other aspects of society? Why is it that we feel so burdened by a capitalistic system? Why is it that everything has to be about profit above quality of life? What would it look like if we organized our societies around our quality of life, around providing all of the services that we need in order to be successful, to be supported, and to have a good quality of life? The reason that we don't do that is because of the oligarchy. The reason that we don't do that is because the super rich would never let us, because it would require them paying their fair share. We could live in a post-capitalist world. I think for me, as somebody who, I call myself an anti-capitalist right now because we are in a capitalistic society, but I dream of a post-capitalist world. When I look at how colleges and universities function, like I see glimpses of what that could look like. I'm like, damn, why don't we just do it? Why don't we do it? We could have universal healthcare. We could have good housing for everybody. We could have a society organized around community dinners and walkable neighborhoods, and making sure that people get mental health care, and making sure that people have the tools and resources they need to be successful, both in their education and then in their careers. We could have shared resources so that we, 1, reduce our cost of living, and 2, are more environmentally responsible, and 3, foster community, because when you have shared resources, it does do that. I don't know. What are your thoughts? What is holding us back in the United States? I mean, us, the working class. What is holding us back? Because as far as I can see, it's just the super rich, and forgive the very, very loud air conditioning in this motel room. As far as I can see, it's the super rich who are feeding us this false narrative of toxic individualism, of pull yourself up by your bootstraps, of capitalism is like 1, good, and 2, inevitable, when it's not. It doesn't have to be. We could organize our societies around our quality of life instead of profit for corporations and the super rich. Because we're living in a society right now where we are seeing the logical conclusion. We're seeing the final boss of capitalism. What happens when a society absolutely puts billionaires and corporate profit above 340 million people and the well-being of this nation, of the planet that we share, of people here and all over the world? Like, what does that look like? Oh, it looks like America 2025. And why are we settling for that? Why is that a thing that we're like, well, guess it's got to be this way because capitalism, because government corruption? Like, why are we settling for that? We could have so much more. And we know how to organize it. We would know how to do it because we do it really well at colleges and universities. So as I was walking with my kid around campus today, as we were at this meeting this evening, I just just kept saying to myself, like, what's holding us back? Why are we waiting? Why are we waiting to build a whole society like this? We deserve so much more than we have right now. And I really, really think we should start believing that for ourselves.